All right, today we're going to dive into what might just be the most overlooked part of India's constitution. It's called Part 19, the Miscellaneous section. Now, I know what you're thinking. Miscellaneous sounds like a junk drawer, right? But I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see it's actually the engine room that makes the whole thing run.
So, to get us started, let me ask you a question. What in the world could the legal immunity of the President of India possibly have in common with the tax you pay on your lunch bill? It sounds completely random, doesn't it? Well, the answer is hiding in the very fine print we're about to decode. Stick with me because the connection is pretty surprising.
So yeah, this whole section is officially called Miscellaneous. You can just imagine the framers of the Constitution getting to the end and having a pile of essential rules that didn't really fit anywhere else. It's so easy to just skip over this part. But that would be a huge mistake. This isn't where forgotten laws go, it's where the most practical, real-world mechanics of how the country actually works are spelled out.
Let's think about this a different way. Part 19 isn't a junk drawer at all. A better way to see it is as the Constitution's essential toolbox. And inside this toolbox, we find three critical tools that make the entire system function: a powerful shield, a very clear rulebook, and an absolutely indispensable dictionary. So let's open it up and take a look at that first tool. Okay, our first tool is the shield. This is all about protecting the president and state governors from legal harassment. And the logic behind it is pretty simple, right? For the country to be governed effectively, its leaders have to be able to make decisions without constantly looking over their shoulder, worried about being dragged into court for every little thing.
The core of this idea is laid out right here in Article 361. It clearly states that the president and governors are not answerable to any court for how they perform their official duties. This is a seriously powerful shield, and it makes sure their official actions can't be challenged with personal lawsuits.
But, and this is a huge but, this is not a blanket get-out-of-jail-free card. The Constitution draws a very bright line. For their official duties, their protection is pretty much absolute. But when it comes to personal acts, things they do as a private citizen, well, that's a whole different story. They're still safe from criminal cases while in office, but civil cases can be brought against them. And you can't just waltz into court and file a lawsuit. Article 361 lays out a very specific four-step process. You have to write up a detailed notice, deliver it to their office, and then, get this, you have to wait 2 full months before you can even file the case. So it's possible, but the Constitution creates a very deliberate and kind of slow process.
So we've seen the shield that protects our leaders. Now let's look at the second tool in our box, the rule book that keeps them accountable. This part of the Constitution deals with some really important questions, like what happens when a politician gets disqualified from office? Can they just hop into another cushy government job? Well, the rulebook has a very specific answer to that.
Article 361b says that a disqualified legislator cannot hold any remunerative political post. Now, to prevent any arguments about what that means, the Constitution defines it right here for us. As you can see, it's any job where the paycheck comes from public money, either directly from the government or from a body it owns. This kind of detail is absolutely crucial for accountability. It closes loopholes before anyone can even think of using them.
And this brings us to our third and, maybe the most important tool in the entire toolbox, the dictionary. I mean, think about it. If we can't agree on what basic words like tax or goods or railway actually mean in a legal sense, how could we possibly have a consistent system of laws? The framers knew this was a huge deal.
And that is where Article 366 comes in. This is, quite literally, the Constitution's master dictionary. It has more than 30 clauses, and each one defines a key term, everything from agricultural income to union territory. This article makes sure that when a law uses a specific term, everyone, from the Supreme Court down to you and me, is on the exact same page. It's the ultimate tool for legal clarity.
And this, my friends, is how we get back to your lunch bill. This is where Article 366 gets really interesting. You'd think that defining a tax on the sale of goods would be easy. You buy something, you pay a tax. Simple. But oh no, the Constitution's definition is way more sophisticated, and it all comes down to what legally counts as a sale.
So check this out. This list comes straight from Article 366. It basically says that a sale isn't just you buying a phone. It also includes all these other situations. Materials used in a building, something you buy on an installment plan. And there it is, number 5. Food or any other article for human consumption that's served in a restaurant. That's the link.
So why all this complexity? Why not just keep it simple? Because our economy is anything but simple. This super detailed definition is designed to close loopholes.
It clarifies that a sale for tax purposes isn't just handing over cash for a product. It's also the service of providing you food or the transfer of goods in a construction contract. And that is the connection. The very same overlooked section of the Constitution sets the rules for both a president's immunity and the tax on your lunch.
So let's bring it all home. The shield in Article 361, the rule book in 361b, and the dictionary in 366, these aren't just random bits of legal clutter. They are the essential gears that allow the big, grand principles of the Constitution to actually work in the real world.
I just love this phrase from the text definition, shall be deemed to be a sale. It sounds so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The Constitution is literally saying, look, for legal purposes, we are officially calling this action a sale, even if it doesn't look like a traditional one. That right there is the power of the fine print. It creates legal certainty where there would otherwise just be chaos.
And that's really the big takeaway here. The majestic ideas of justice, liberty, and equality, that's the soul of the Constitution. But all the definitions and rules and procedures in Part 19, that's its skeleton. It provides the structure and the clarity needed to turn those beautiful principles into a system that actually functions. Without this fine print, everything would just be open to interpretation and endless arguments.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The Constitution's Miscellaneous section defines the rules of the game for an entire country. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden rules, what other fine print governs our daily lives without us even realizing it? Thanks for digging into this with me.